Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload, as you can tell by the title, we'll be discussing a storm potential pretty far out into the time frame, but I'm talking about a storm so far out because simply put, we are looking at a very, from my viewpoint, a very boring weather pattern, right? I mean, it's going to be beautiful, great weekend weather across much of the Midwest. Really just get out there and enjoy it. The fall weather is in full swing, especially, across the Midwest. We have frost advisories and warnings all over, which isn't the best aspect of that, but just dry weather, and that's just so awesome. And that's why I'm talking about a storm system so far out, because that's the next big thing that may be impacting a large portion of the population. Now, you may just heard me say that and ask yourself, why aren't you talking about the hurricanes? There's a tropical storm threat. The reason for that is those beasts are a different breed, right? They are powerful, dangerous, they usually kill, and I just don't want to mix, dip my feet into those waters, if you will. I want to stay out of that. For that, obviously, go to National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service. Even for anything to do with the weather, go to those areas. Those are professional meteorologists. I am not a professional meteorologist. I am not even a meteorologist. I am a weather enthusiast, a weather fan, and hopefully that suits you fine. So if you guys would like to join the community we have on here, consider doing so. We have a lot of awesome people. We talk and discuss stuff. So consider subscribing if you like the channel. And if you're a returning viewer and you would like to support the channel, liking the video would be astounding. All right, let's get into this. So right now, let's start off by looking at the GFS, Global Forecasting System. And notice we have the US view and Southern Canada view. Really, there isn't much to talk about, as I said, moving into the weekend. I do apologize, the chair has been squeaking. It's been speaking out a little bit more than usual, probably because I sit on it too long, gets tired. But I seriously have to fix that. I do have to fix that. All right. Notice we have a tropical storm. Really not a tropical storm yet, but it could be developing. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a tropical storm. I may be wrong. But anyway, a tropical system. That's a more vague term. Can't get really in trouble for using that. But notice it moves towards Texas. It can become a bit more stronger. Pick up some strength, increase the wind speeds, but notice how it sits around for a while across the coast of Texas. That could lead to flooding, while the wind may not be the biggest aspect, so people looking at the forecast, Category 1, tropical storm, who cares? Well, that's not usually the case, especially when a storm is, look at that, it just sits for such a long time across the Bay of Texas right there. I don't know if that's even a term, but near Galveston, kind of the southern area, that could dump a lot of rain, tropical moisture, very efficient rain-making storm. And that's not the storm I'm talking about in the title, but we also have a large hurricane, made kind of already is a hurricane at this point, this latitude. It may not be a hurricane, maybe a weakening tropical storm. We'll have to see. The GFS at this case shows it at a Category 1, most likely, but you can see it really quickly tears it apart, and this tropical storm, tropical system has a potential of making its way onto the northeast, into Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. Kind of impact those areas, or it could just hit Canada, Nova Scotia, and therefore not hitting as much of the northeast, or it just may completely steer out into the northeast, into the Atlantic Ocean, not affecting much of the land. Now, obviously, that last scenario would be the best, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the case. Let's take a look at southeastern Canada, because I do include as much of Canada as I can in my forecasts, and this Canadian view gives us a forecast, or gives us a view of the northeast as well. And notice, it's a beast coming from the south. I mean, it's powerful, and it is very strong. Here it says 991. It's not. It's stronger. This is a glitch. It's probably in the 940s. And notice, it really keeps its strength for a good while. But as it moves to the further northern areas, the water temperatures drop drastically. We start getting cooler water, and that catches up to the storm. And notice that once the storm is close to land, Whether or not it will make landfall, we'll have to see. This model keeps it kind of away from the land. You can see it just really weakens significantly and quickly. More of a windstorm than a rainstorm at this point. I mean, you can see it's widespread precipitation, but look how big it is. It's not just centered around a hurricane or tropical system storm. I don't want to use the H word, but as of now, it is a major hurricane. And notice that we have 981, then it just becomes a regular storm off the southeastern Canadian coast. What we have to watch for is whether or not this storm takes a quicker turn towards the northeast and New England. If it does so, it could remain stronger while it, stronger before it hits land. So the longer it kind of takes up in these waters, the better, because it's going to start weakening. And because of the cooler waters, and even if it doesn't move and the waters are warm, the tropical storms and hurricanes, if they stay over one location for a very long time with the rain they're producing, they cool the waters, and they over time do weaken. But you can see it does seem to stall out there, but it definitely does get torn apart. We'll have to see. At this point, GFS doesn't show much precip for the Northeast, but definitely a lot for Southeastern Canada. So for my folks, my viewers in Southeastern Canada, definitely stay tuned, because it looks as if you'll get impacted by this in one way or another. Hopefully, the impacts stay on a minimal side, but they may be insignificant. Now, I do apologize. I'm 6 minutes into the video and now just starting to talk about the storm system that the title is about. But, I do want to go over the more important things. Not in detail, but just brief rundowns of what to expect and what to watch for. Again, I'm not giving out a forecast here. So right now, if you look across the northwest, there are some heavy rain showers across portions of Oregon. There's actually a flash flood watch, I'm pretty sure, across certain mountainous ranges across the Oregon area. There could be some heavy rain. It's really isolated. It doesn't seem to be widespread. You could see it affecting the coastal areas. It would be nice if this would be more of a widespread event with all the wildfires we've been having. However, they'll take anything they can get. Notice this energy really doesn't do much. The low pressure moves inland Sunday, Monday, but again, not all storms are going to transition into large systems. They need certain environmental conditions, kind of like bacteria, to grow, if you will. You're not going to get bacteria growing on on dry, hot cement. In a petri dish, though, bacteria will flourish, right? Okay. Or even on cement, bacteria could absolutely explode, and fungus and stuff like that when it's wet and moist and dark, not when it's dry and hot. Kind of the same thing. You can see not really favorable. This storm really just does fall apart, moves into northern Canada, and there it may evolve into a larger system as it gets sort of over the waters of Hudson and James Bay. But again, that's really far to the north and not much of our concern, as at that point, not even much Canadians live there. Just probably more polar bears than people up there. You just have to understand that a lot of Canadians that do live in Canada live within a very close proximity to the U.S. border. So let's take a glance now at what happens after that. So we don't have any big storm yet on the lower or on the mainland U.S. other than those two hurricanes, tropical storms, whatever tropical systems. What we see is kind of the remnants of that storm, this initial one, that stay across the mountains. They kind of stay in hiding and wait for the opportunity, if you will, to come out. And once they do, this storm really takes off. Now it's very small in size, really not that big, and it stays fairly good to the north. But again, a lot of Canadians live within this area, and the storm is straddling the border, so this is definitely going to be impacting a large portion of the population. Just because the U.S. borders with Canada right here doesn't mean that that's where the weather stops. I saw several comments talking about that. And also, it obviously, there's, a lot of, it doesn't just turn into wastelands as it crosses the border. Civilization continues. All right, so let's take a look at this. We look into really north of Lake Superior. This low pressure as of now is forecasted to take a track right through Lake Superior. So Thunder Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, those large cities are definitely going to get impacted by showers and storms. And as we look towards the longer time, into Thursday and now into Friday, we see a cold front developing that could definitely bring some showers and scattered storms across the Midwest. Not thorns, storms. And that does bring a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Really, you can see it doesn't keep it as a strong system. The GFS does weaken as it pushes out. But, even if this system fails, right behind it, we have a larger precipitation maker that could be pretty significant. It is fairly far out, but it's been consistent with the GFS and other models. So with just this little guy, this rain system, there could be some potent amounts. Notice we do have weaker low pressures to the north, but they are further to the north and they are much smaller. So I really just will be focusing on one that's going to be affecting more of a population. That does make sense. I do apologize if you hear dishes clinking in the background. It is dinner time in my household, so you got to do what you got to do. I'm not going to stop the whole house just because I'm recording my 10-minute video. It'd be ridiculous. All right, so notice we do have an inch to maybe an inch and a half of precip. It's not most likely going to be a flooding event. This is a quick moving storm and it's small, so it's kind of comes and goes, if you will. Notice portions of southwestern Canada. I definitely do pay attention to you folks, and you can see you'll be receiving a lot of rain, a ton of rain, and maybe not the most usual, if you will, amounts for this time of the year, or really any time of the year. But again, we've had a pretty dry year so far, so this is definitely still gonna aid. Notice also quite a bit of rain across the mountains in western British Columbia, eastern British Columbia, western Alberta. And as we push forward, also I just want to take notice to the very heavy rain potential right by the coast and even further inland across Texas and Louisiana. That is definitely to do with a lot of precipitation from that tropical system. And notice how it actually kind of stops right at the U.S.-Mexico border. This seems, if this shifts to the south, obviously, folks right here will be more impacted. If it shifts to the north, really, more of the U.S. will be impacted. But this isn't an isolated event. It looks pretty widespread, whichever way it goes. So some of these amounts are pushing the 12 to 14 inches, which would be causing a large flood threat. And I just want to push this forecast into the next 10 to 15 days, and you can see a bit more rain comes across the eastern United States, which is very good news as it's been very dry. And also notice a bit more rain across Florida and continued rain across British Columbia and southwestern Canada, which could lead to flooding. I mean, that's a ridiculous amount, 20 plus inches in that range right there. Let's take a look at the European model, and I want to show you what it's showing. Let's take a quick look at this. So we have that tropical storm system that the GFS pointed out. So it's good that we're seeing agreement, right? We're not taking one model that's showing a large system dumping so much rain, and then, for example, the European may not show anything at all. Those are the worst type of situations. You can see the European keeps it offshore for a longer period of time, but then it definitely moves it on. And you can see once it does, it keeps it there for quite a while. It sits in one location, kind of like the GFS has it doing. So lots of rain for the southeast. And notice while that is going on, this little guy kind of slips away from our view. It would be better if it, slips the further away, the better, because that would affect less of the land. And unfortunately, it does end up hitting the Nova Scotia area and Labrador and Newfoundland, according to this forecast. We'll have to see how that pans out. It does bring a lot of heavy rain, but the European model slowly has been shifting this storm a bit further and further eastward, which would be for the better. As that storm does its thing in Canada, you could see this tropical storm continues dumping lots of rain and going through periods of intensification and de-intensification across the Gulf Coast. And while that happens, we have this system right here, which the European, again, shows like the GFS, bit further to the north, but it's a larger system. So this would be good if it were further to the north, affect less people, if you will, with the storms and rain. But at this point, it's just so dry that this rain would be welcomed, especially across northern Minnesota. So we're more likely, to wish for the GFS outcome rather than the European one. Notice across central Ontario, northern Ontario, really, we see some mixing. That's probably some sleet, maybe some freezing rain. That pink is actually, it's a mix, so kind of a rain-snow mix. They don't really distinguish. No, that's sleet. Sorry, yeah, that's freezing rain, snow, that's sleet. So possibly some sleet mixing in there. And notice a cold front is possibly going to drag itself into the northeast. And then after that, we do see a large storm brewing. Just like the GFS pointed out, this one is very far to the north as well, but it does definitely have a load of precip for the United States because it combines the moisture from the tropics with the Pacific, and that kind of leads to a large storm. Notice we have more activity across British Columbia. Let's take a look at the total quantitative precipitation forecast. Again, where that storm does occur, that little guy, wherever it may track further south, north, it does look to bring quite a dosing of rain, more than what the GFS shows. Obviously, the Gulf Coast, ridiculous amounts, 10, 11 inches. Maybe not as bad as what we saw in Pensacola, but that's not really a unit of measurement to be used, because what they saw is just something no one should see in their lifetime. But notice 9, 10 inches still is a cause for concern. The west, southwest Canada, look at that. Ridiculous amounts. Could cause some landslides, flooding, especially since these are a bit more mountainous terrains. And then notice it does increase the precip across the eastern United States. Exact details to be refined. But definitely an increased storm chance. That little guy we have to watch. We'll have to see what it does. If you were to look at the GFS Para, it's a couple of model runs behind because it's a bit slower of a model. This video is very long, I do apologize, but notice that it does keep the storm stronger than any of the other models, and it does kind of keep it there for quite a while, but it moves it out a bit faster. And notice it also keeps the Teddy, I think Tropical Storm Teddy, I just remembered at the end of the video, that thing keeps that system off the shore of the U.S., but it definitely impacts the Canadian area, so that's still a concern. Notice it has this system that the European and GFS agree on furthest to the south, but definitely a bit weaker, but it also keeps a chance for just an active pattern. So thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.